We are Steve and Jill. Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Stephen Jack Butella.
And I'm Jill DeWitt, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode number 1943, and today we are talking in depth about the myth of passive income as it applies to buying and selling land. In the beginning, we're going to talk about that. And then ultimately, later in the episode, we're going to talk about how it only takes 10 or 15 deals a year to make $1 million.
It's fun when you really think about it and you work it backwards. You're kind of like, oh yeah, that's really is all it takes.
You know,
like I could do a deal a month and make $1 million. Yeah.
There's we have a bunch of people who signed up largely because of some promotions that Jill and her staff did at the end of the year. So it's March and they're getting mail out, and there's a lot of chatter in a very positive way in Discord. But I sent the mailer out. I got 12 or 13 responses back. But there's no deals.
Oh, that's different. Oh, that's a whole nother thing.
Well, no, there's a deal in there. Oh, I'm sure.
That's another conversation.
If you followed the whole, well, that's what we're going to talk about later. But there's deals in all this stuff, and you don't need to do 22 deals in 1 month. You need to do one.
Isn't that
one
funny?
Great deal every month.
Let's talk about that when we get to the passive income part in a minute here, and we talk about that. And then I have some stuff to say about the 22 deals in a month.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this new 2022 weekly show.
23
version of it anyway. Jeez, it's almost the
right?
first quarter. Each week we answer questions from our Land Academy Discord forum. We review land acquisitions from our weekly Thursday member webinar, and then ultimately take a deep dive into the 2 land-related topics I just mentioned here. And those are all requested on Discord. Now let's look at a question posted by one of our members on the Land Academy Discord online community. If you want a sneak peek of our Discord channel, please go to landacademy.com. It's free in a read-only format, and I really would encourage you.
Not all the areas too. I was clicking around it the other day. It's kind of cool. It's like there's more of what you see on the Discord from our website. There's some hidden areas where there's even more deep dive deal discussions.
That's why it's a sneak peek, my dear.
I know, exactly. All right, Bailey wrote, or wait, is it Bailey or David?
It's David, sorry.
Okay, excuse me. Okay, David wrote, hi all, kind of a random question. I'm curious if anyone has experienced creating mailers for commercial office space. Specifically, I'm looking for 5,000 to 10,000 square feet in the King County area in Washington, and 15 to 20,000 square feet in fill in the blank parts of Florida. Right now, just trying to figure out if that criteria is too specific for this type of model before I really spend a lot of time on it. These would be owner-occupied offices for call centers, so could probably expand the criteria to some types of industrial spaces as well. Any insight would be greatly appreciated. Thanks.
Jack, why would you put a question like this? We're supposed to be buying and selling land. That's what this show is about. This show is about a lot more things than buying and selling land. And this person's an established commercial real estate agent or broker. Mm-hmm. And he's sitting down thinking, well, wait a minute. If I have a database. We have a database of all the people who own land, 99.9% of the people who own real estate. We have access to a database for those owners, and so do our Land Academy members. There's other databases. I've long threatened myself, not anyone else, threatened myself to do a program on the value of sending direct mail, offers in direct mail for all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. You're only as great as that database. So yeah. Yes, Jill and I have done this for apartment buildings. We've done it for specific in very urban areas, very specifically zoned property for future future high-rise apartment buildings on behalf of one customer or client. And so I had a guy in our group, Jill and I had a guy in Land Academy really early on who took our database after a hailstorm, sent everybody a letter because he's a roofing contractor and said, if you have these issues with your roof, please give me a call, with great success. So this concept of sending direct mail with a serious call to action and to, like, I want to buy your property. I'm going to buy your land for $5,234.22. It's very hard not to respond to that.
It's true.
As a recipient. And so if you have the owner of office space, a receptive database it's workable, I would highly encourage you to do this. I'm working on a data set right now where Jill and I are thinking about expanding. Well, we have to this year buy some commercial buildings to collect the depreciation for tax reasons for 2023 taxes. So, and we're going to do the exact same thing. I will send out a mail. Jill will answer the phones on some very specific tenant-driven commercial triple tenant buildings, and it
works for everything. There's a healthy number of people in our community that have used the Land Academy model, like, hey, this is how we're going to find our next cabin, sweetheart. I know where I want my cabin to be. I know the area. I know the zip code. I know exactly how big I want it to be. I know exactly how old I want it to be, kind of thing. And use it for just any kind of thing. It's really, when you think about it, it's a little scary what we have at our fingertips. Yeah, it's not just land. It's every real estate property, every zoning. It's the whole doggone assessor database nationwide. Dream it up with mortgage information. I mean, you can really get granular. If you want to get granular about this, you could. So everything you just put in here, and then you could add, I think it's David, and then you could add in, I want a loan that's been in place this long, even loan to value. Like, I want to know that they own at least 20% down, they have 20% equity into this building. I want to know its own. You may even be able to, you can. You could even dig in and find just the LLC owned ones, or privately owned. Maybe you want to just dig into the mom and pop ones, dream it up.
This is a finite data set. It's the database is between 150 million and 155 million contact records.
It's awesome.
For every single piece of real estate.
Every APM.
Not just every piece of land or house or condos, all of it. Every commercial property. Is it incredibly simple to go in there and say, I only want these properties that are owned by this person in this area for it? No, you have to be, honestly, you have to be into it.
Yeah.
You have to, the first time I opened a data set, it was RealQuest back in the day. I had to leave the office I had to take a day off. I was so elated with the possibility of what was going to happen in my life. I'm telling you,
what'd you do with your day off?
I can tell you, you know what I did. It's the same thing I do.
It was more than a day. So first he spent a week in Mexico partying like a rock star. Then he came back. That's what I think you did. Let's be honest.
Very, very single when this happened. And I didn't go to Mexico.
Oh, excuse me.
But Old Town Scottsdale
served the purpose.
Was in for a treat. And that's true. It was probably 2 days because I knew right then and there after looking at it for an hour what was possible.
Yeah.
And here we are. This is, that was the late 90s. Mm-hmm. That database that you have access to as a Land Academy member, the Data Tree National Database, the one that's got all of it, and they continue to improve it, is something else.
The one that you get when you're in Land Academy automatically.
It's yes, it's worth the price of admission, and I'll tell you, if you had to go get it on your own, it would be worth more. I'm not selling anything here; it'd be a lot more expensive.
That's why we do this.
Yeah. Today's first topic is the myth of passive income as it applies to buying and selling land. I wrote in the Discord section, we have a section called Noob, for new people. And we ask you in our program to go, the first thing is go to Discord, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on and why. And in there is a very lengthy, very well-written entry about how a person who has a lot of commercial real estate experience joined another group of ours, joined another group on the internet, and wasn't satisfied with the quality of the group or quote unquote, how in-depth it was about this topic. And so he finally found us, which forced me or sparked the idea for this topic. Passive income, which is what this specific group teaches, does not apply to this. And throughout the next 15 minutes, I'm going to basically describe to you and prove to you why passive anything doesn't apply. Are you passive in your marriage? Are you passive with your little sister? Are you passive in your schoolwork or passive in college?
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you are, you're going to fail at it.
So here's the thing. That's what we were talking about this morning when we were thinking about this topic is...
You just roll your eyes over there?
Yeah, I'm sure I did because it's stupid. It's bad.
Oh, I thought you were rolling your eyes at me.
Yeah.
Oh, good. There's another target besides me today.
No, you'll know when I'm rolling my eyes at you.
No, I don't. That's the problem.
Oh, God.
Could be anything.
Oh, well.
Wasn't me this time.
No, it's not you. It's sometimes you, but not this time. So, no, I roll my eyes because I'm like, why do people get? I feel. I don't want you to feel bad. I want you to know that you are not alone. If you thought that, what do you mean I can't buy a property here for $1,000 and then get $300,000 down and then $99 a month for 5 years and have 10 of those and just sit back and go, woohoo, and I do nothing. Well, and because that's what some people are out there kind of teaching and talking about and coaching. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not going to be any work? Oh, there's work. There's always people that don't pay, lose their jobs, things happen, fall off the planet, whatever it is, you get to take, and you don't want to take it back. I mean, there's so much customer service, especially when you think about it too. I mean, think about this for a second. A person who's buying a couple $1,000 property or a person who's buying $100,000 property, think about how different those people are. One's like, this is all I have, I'm so excited. And one's like, I'm a pro, we don't need to talk about this. So that's one aspect to think about.
A lot of years ago, early on in the Land Academy scenario, I wrote a blog called Chasing Zero.
Yeah.
People still contact me about this concept. So I'm literally writing an ebook, a pretty substantial ebook. I don't know what it's going to be at some point. Might be a regular book about chasing zero and what chasing zero really is. And apparently it's sung to a lot of people, at least the type of people that join Land Academy, is this. I wake up in the morning trying to do less stuff than I did yesterday. So if I can remove somehow something that was a pain in the butt or something even that I just had to do, remove that out of my life so I can go and do more meaningful things to me, then that's what chasing zero is for me. And so I'm constantly chasing this concept of how can I outsource with the stuff I don't want to do? How can I get a partner to do the things I don't want to do to make everything more efficient so I can actually go do the things that I want to do? And I don't mean go fishing. I mean start a new company or something like that. A great example is getting a housekeeper. I don't want to do all this housework. Jill doesn't want to do it. It's really not expensive at all in the scheme of things. Let's get a housekeeper. Check. That's one thing I got out of my life. I have many other examples. This is why we have employees, because we can't all do all the stuff that they do all day. We could possibly do it all. You get burned out. You're not going to do it right. We have people that are marketers. We have Jill has a transaction coordinator to this day. I believe this, and so does Jill. That is way better to do deals than Jill and I is. She's better on the phone. She's more meticulous. She's part kook, and I say that
in a good way.
With affection. She's just kooky enough to talk to these real estate agents and these escrow agents. And so that was a huge chunk out of our lives. And our lives are better because she's in it.
Right.
So we're chasing zero. I'm constantly chasing zero.
So
Passive income.
Go ahead.
So passive income, my point in saying all this is that I wake up trying to chase some type of passive income.
Sure.
It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
If anything that's worthwhile is going to require some type of involvement on your part. Might not be after you've got all the pieces in place and the players in place and all of it. Your involvement might be, I'm on standby. You know, Jill is on standby for all the deals that we're doing. Mm-hmm. We've got great people in place, so they don't need her very often, but they need her once in a while. Yeah. So that's not passive income. Passive income is when you take $1,000 and you put it into a CD, a certificate of deposit, or a checking, not even a checking account, a passive, there's all kinds of passive investment vehicles. But even then, you still get a statement every month and you open it and you look at it.
So my whole thing, like this comes up often when I'm talking to people about joining Land Academy. They're like, well, why wouldn't I do this? I said, well, let's talk about that for a second. Because I've been there, done that. And I know a lot of people that have been there, done that. And you do this model. Okay, you go along. I'm going to buy 50 properties and I'm going to get $99 a month coming in, right? That's my goal. Awesome. So is that $5,000? Yeah. So you had to think about that.
The Jill rhetorical question.
I know. So that's, no, for a lot of people, like, that's perfect. That's all I want to do. Okay, now think about this. You got 50 customers. You think that every single month, all your 50 people at $99 a month are going to pay? Please test that and call me in a year. And they go, and they do. Well, so that's number one. I'm like, I just have to say it from experience, and please ask the community, because a lot of people in our community have been there, done that. So you're like, okay, here's the other thing. Think about, do you want to get wealthy? It's one thing to sit back and just say, I got $5,000 coming in every month, but that's all I got. I'm not building anything right now, too. When those $5,000 pay off and I deed them the property, I don't have anything. I just got those months of, I had all my expenses paid for. Versus, what if I take this money and I put this into a property, one deal, instead of buying, I start with $10,000, instead of buying 10 $1,000 properties and setting them up like this. What if I put this $10,000 into one property and made that $20,000? And then I put that $20,000 into something. Next month I made it $40,000. And then I make it $80,000. And now I've only done a handful, not even 5 deals. And now you're staring at $100,000. Now you can start making some different decisions. Do you still want to go do that? Probably not. And you could do one deal a month like that, and you're doing so much less work, and it's just...
Still not passive.
It's not, but
and that's my point.
But
none of this is passive.
You know what for me passive is I'll tell you right now, my passive, I feel like I have passive income because I work maybe 4 hours a week on land deals.
Yeah, and I honestly would argue, Jill, because I think that's what happens. That's actually what our just, if we didn't have Land Academy, Jill and I would probably work 4 to 8 hours a week, probably 4 hours a week.
You would work more than I do.
Right.
Your mail would take more. Yours trolling in mail probably takes,
right.
Mine's like, I just wait for the phone to ring.
But it's still not passive. Mm-hmm. And so this whole, I thought this term would go away, but it's just stuck around. Geez, when we started Land Academy, there was such a trend, a massive trend, way bigger than it is now. Now it's like side gig or side hustle. And none of those things those are cute little words for, you don't want to work that hard.
Right.
And so if you go into Land Academy, listen, if you go into all the stuff that you see, I'll use Grant Cardone as an example, or just anybody who's standing in front of their airplane, if any of it's real, and most of it's not, but I think in his case it's real. Mm-hmm. He started in a college dorm with 3 stinky idiot kids who were probably amounted to nothing. And he just believed in himself and had that first employee, and then that second employee, and a third employie, and maybe a first wife, and then that second wife, whatever. I don't know his... It is? Good.
I think she's awesome. Please don't poo-poo Elena.
Is that her name, really?
Yes.
How do you know this stuff?
Because I think she's okay.
This is truly amazing.
Because I think they're cool.
So I'm just using him as an example, but
we don't go to lunch or anything, not yet.
The guy's, he's just full of fire.
Yeah.
He doesn't want anything passive.
No.
He's waking up every day smashing it. So I would like to make this, official that buying and selling land is not passive.
Well,
there's a lot of work.
I'm gonna say
it can be 5 years from when you join and figure it out and do your first deal, 3 to 5 years, it can be almost passive. But the word's not passive. It can be not very much work.
How about on autopilot? A lot of it. That's what I think. The thing is too, here's my final point on this. No matter what you're going to do right now, whether you're thinking if you're listening to this because you're trying to make a change, right? You're like, all right, do I go into land? Do I go get my real estate license? Do I save up and buy a Domino's pizza chain? I don't know, whatever, or a franchise, fill in the blank. They're all going to be work, no matter what it is. They're all going to take something, and especially in the beginning. I don't care really what it is and what it's going to spin off. It's going to take work getting it started. You got a lot to learn. So pick something that sings to you, number one. And number two, speaking from experience from someone who has owned a pizza operation, pick something with a better ROI than a pizza. Because if you think $2 an order is going to get you wealthy this month, I got to tell you, it's not. It's a slow road to wealth.
I mean, let's really, really deconstruct that. You have 8 hours a day. 8 to 10 hours of, depending on what your personal life is like, between 8 and 18 hours a day to spend on whatever, chasing your dream. Let's call it that. You have all kinds of decisions to make because you could be Elon Musk if that's what you wanted.
Sure.
Or you could be a shopkeeper, a convenience store owner, or anything in between. Land Academy falls in between that. And so you have all kinds of choices, but chasing something that's passive is not the right path. Chasing something that pays out with eventually you can scale, which is buying and selling land, in my opinion, where you can grow it to as much as you want, and it's mostly variable costs. That makes a lot of sense to me. A lot of commercial real estate people that are old school, I'm actually old school commercial real estate, this business model doesn't work because you have to go out and churn these deals. You have to buy a deal and sell it and buy a deal and sell it, which for whatever reason, between Jill and I, it really fits our skill sets really well. Commercial real estate people would argue, well, if I buy this regional strip center and I finance it correctly and I have the right partners with the right project, with the right property manager in place, and it stays occupied, I don't have to do anything, but you do, because you're constantly thinking, you just enjoy it. That's why you don't think that you're doing anything, but you're constantly thinking about, all right, we bought it at a 7 capitalization rate. The rent escalations are going to get us to a 12 cap in 3 years. We got to prep for the 1099 exchange. Property management firms don't do that. And you're nuts if you let your accountant do it, because they're not going to do it right. And those of you who are in that situation know exactly what I'm talking about. So no, it's not passive. It just happens to be something that you really like versus talking to tenants.
I understand. When you think of owning an office building and things like that, all I could think of is I'd be worrying that the roof's not going to need something and all the plumbing's going to work today.
Same thing.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah, but Jack, there's triple net leases that you can lease to something like Bank of America. Sure. And then you're still thinking about the 1031 exchange and the rent escalation and debt service.
Okay, I know I said I was ending it on that, but now I'm really ending it on this for me. Why is everybody got so lazy? Maybe this is part of the culture. That's a whole nother show.
I think now's the time.
Why is this planet lazy?
I love this, Joe.
I remember going in, punching a time clock. You know what? Wait, this is a discussion we had the other days. What do you mean after 3 occurrences you were fired? I'm like, yes, I've had a job, and those of you know what I'm talking about. You had attendance. There was attendance, and you had to be on time, punch a clock, and after 3, you were let go. That's just what you had 3 in a year. If you had 3 in 12, a rolling 12-month period, you're let go. And I remember getting excited when things after 12 months would fall off. Like, oh, good, 12 months has passed. Now I'm back down to 0. So if I'm sick one day, I'm late, car accident. That's just kind of what it was. And you had to get up and go to work. And honestly, I kind of like it. I like doing stuff. I like moving forward. I like buying property. I like watching the bank balance go up. I like knowing that my daily stuff contributes to that.
Here's a thought that I've had recently. I was a kid through the 70s and fortunate enough to have computers in my life since middle school, whether they're in school, in the library, and ultimately as a Christmas present from my parents because they were tired of me talking about it. And so, and all I kept thinking during that period was, I know where this is going. I know that this isn't like this computer that's on my desk is going to get better and cheaper because you could see that happening every year then. And they're going to connect them eventually. I remember me and my friends connecting our computers together for the first time when we were in, maybe junior high. And then looking at each other saying, well, what if all computers were connected? And so we were always never appreciating the time we were in. So then you get a little bit older, it's like, well, these times next year are going to be greater. They're going to be better. And then and then I was in accounting and commercial real estate. Oh, next year I'm going to have a better year than this year. Accounting, I'm going to get promoted and it's going to be better. And then something like COVID happens or 9/11 happens, and both of those things happen and it didn't make it better. COVID made this worse. And that's what Joe's referring to. We are now socially kind of depleted or diminished because of these events where there's more restrictions on us now. There's more things that, everybody's staying at home for 2 years doesn't help anything. It doesn't help anything, certainly under the guise of being passive. That's what staying at home for 2 years is, passive. It's not active.
I know.
By the way, Land Academy and our land business thrived during those 2 years. We smashed it. I mean, we doubled our revenue company-wide, and we've kept it there.
I wasn't expecting that too when it all happened. I'm like, oh, like everybody, this is going to sink the ship. And then I'm like, oh no, this is even better for all of us.
So in summary, I get chasing zero. I get wanting to put your feet up with a cocktail in your hand in the Caribbean permanently someday. Mexico. I get that. I get it. I have those same versions of those same goals. Mm-hmm. They all involve Jill now, not just me, in our family. But I'm way too young for that, and we do it a couple times a year, and that's good enough for me. And we have a ton of employees that are doing this stuff. So you're not going to do this in the first 24 months of anything that you start. Yeah. But it will happen if you're not chasing something passive. Let's take a look at one of our favorite land acquisitions from the weekly Thursday member webinar.
Okay. Park County, Colorado. Offer price $36,000. Owner said he would sell for $40,000 as long as it's what he walks away with. See how good this is, by the way? So WK offered 36. The guy says, I won't do 36, but I'll do 40. You just get a number out of him, and it's not that far off. So he said properties in the area are going for 2 to 3 times, but you know what? I'm happy with 40. This is awesome. So WK says, all right, it's I think I can sell it for 80. It's 40 acres. So the owner bought the property in 2016 from a customer. He planned to hunt on it as it's near Pike National Forest, but it only went out there a few times. It's getting old and it's time to let it go.
Okay, access. It's got highway road access. Check. Attribute. It's in Colorado against all this beautiful stuff. Check.
And National Forest nearby.
Check. Acreage. Yeah, 40 acres is great. Adjacent.
Somebody's building out there. Maybe we see it on Google Earth.
So I don't care if there's a house going in on here that's $2 million. Okay. There's just not, it's got adjacent problems.
What the guy?
There's nothing being built. This is a good sign. I'm not here to be negative. I'm trying to find, positive.
I kind of like it. He paid $7,500 for it. Now you're offering 40.
Yep.
So you need to know that one. Now 40. Now my 40 is not good. Now my 36 went down too, by the way. But we can look and smoke that out.
My rule for these types of properties are $100 to $200 acquisition price. I would buy this for about $8,000. Sell it for 30 or 40.
That's what I was just thinking. As we're digging in more, can we look at comps? Look at 40 acres in that area. WK, I'm already thinking 40,000 is what you're going to be happy to sell it for that.
Either 20 to 50 acre properties that are sold in the last 6 months. This is the same area because you can see this mountain ridge or mountain line. And then with the water here, the mountains, and then this kind of valley. This property's in the valley right here. So I'm pretty confident these are like kind. So the seller's not wrong. There's some good comps in here.
What were the days on market?
I mean, we could look them all up.
Yeah. When I'm digging, then I'm going to do that. I'm going to go look and see what sold and how long did it take
I would
to
do
sell.
that. I would do that too.
Did it
Joe's
take a
right.
year and a half to
No.
sell?
This is what she means.
Yeah. 2020. We don't even know.
We don't. It just sold. It doesn't give us an.
When
You
it
can still
was
get it
sold.
if you dig like in other places. So actually, this paints a better picture than I thought. Active 95, 150. So that's better news than I thought.
Well, here's exactly what WK wants to do. Buy this thing. It looks just like this, right? This already has 6 months on market. No, now so 85 is clearly not going to work because you're going to be no better, even though you're going to have beautiful pictures.
So a sale price of 40 or 35, you're going to be the way cheapest in the market with great access. So 180 days with 400 views and 23 saves. That's not good. Cheaper. The dirt's okay.
I would call her and ask her, why is this not sold? And she'll probably is going to say price. I would have that conversation with her WK. And then I would say, what price would move this property? And you watch her say like 55, 38, whatever she comes back with. Then you need to go, you got to cut that down.
Hopefully she'll even dig deeper and say, oh yeah, we had an offer for XYZ and they wouldn't take it.
Yeah, something like that. Trying to find.
So the truth is I wouldn't bail on this deal. I'd go back and say, here's what we found. Here's the story. And
look at 2021 sold for 42. This person's trying to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's your answer, WK.
Mm-hmm.
You need to buy it for no more than 20. What did you say?
I said 8.
You said 8. I like 8, maybe 10. Yeah. Okay. But did you know we have a full-blown ready? Boy, we just visited it again a couple weeks ago. Direct mail printing operation to help you. Check out offers and the number 2 owners.com. It's awesome. So let me tell you a little bit about what we can do. If you're like, okay, this is great. I hear you guys talking about data. I hear about talking about getting offers to sellers. There's a piece in the middle. How do I get these letters to these people? My handwriting things? Oh my gosh, no. Can you imagine how long that would take? No, offers by the thousands are getting out to property owners to buy their property. And that's how we got where we are today. So check out offers, the number 2 owners.com. Basically, what you're going to do is go on there, give them a call if you have any questions. But it's where you can go and upload a spreadsheet. And they'll put it into a beautiful letter format for you and get it in the mail with your offer price, your company logo, your website, your name, your phone number. Everything will be on there. And including if you're like, okay, that's great, but I'm still not that good about the data part. Well, don't worry. We have a service there. It's our concierge service, and they will actually go download the data for you.
Same one we use.
Get it pre-scrubbed for you, ready to price with stuff for you to know how to make an accurate price, like some sales comps and price per acre from wherever you guys scrub it. And so you can accurately price these offers and get them out. And it really will keep you on track too.
Nice work, Joe.
Thank you.
Let's take another question posted by one of our members on the Land Academy Discord online community. Again, if you want a sneak peek at this, go to our Discord channel and take a look at it on landacademy.com. It's free and it's read only.
Greg wrote, "Hi everyone, I'm James from Salt Lake City, Utah. Brief background. I got started in commercial real estate in 2005 by raising and investing capital in a 50-unit multifamily property in the Bronx, New York City. I've since raised capital for more of those over the years, with the biggest raise just last quarter. While in New York City, I attended NYU's commercial real estate master's program and was very involved. So I know commercial real estate folks all over the world. I worked in acquisitions for a couple of years, then transitioned to a brokerage where I've spent most of my time in the office and industrial sectors in Salt Lake City. I've spent time working in every CRE sector. I've gotten nice fees, but I've seen my clients knock the ball out of this park comparatively. So joining this group is my foray into running my own business and calling my own shots. Thrilled to be a part of Land Academy, although it's taken me a bit to think of that as Land Academy rather than, Los Angeles, LA, LOL, got it. Yeah,
I agree with you.
Think about that.
I did. I think about it all the time.
That's funny. And looking to be actively involved and bring value where I can. I have access to pro versions of CoStar and LoopNet at my brokerage, which may prove useful at times. I'm a recently joined member of the Land Geek program as well, but the deal sizes here are ultimately more my size or style. I'm committed to probably both. I'm committed to sending a large amount of mail out this year. So I'm just trying to get set up right now so I can pull the trigger on my first mailer ASAP. Looking forward to learning from all of you and creating something special here. You know, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that came here from other groups. And a lot of it is, hey, I got my feet wet. I get it. I learned the land thing, but now I'm here to do some bigger deals or make this my career.
This is exactly how I got started in 1993 in commercial real estate. I got tired of making other people money as a broker. I got tired of waiting on the phone. Jill knows this. Waiting on the phone for a decision after talking to somebody and listening to somebody describe their perfect acquisition, me spending a month and a half on my own dime to go find that perfect acquisition, or 10 of them, and only to have that person say, yeah, I changed my mind. So being the person on the other side of the phone has always been my dream until I was that person on the other side of the phone. And then now Jill's the other side. That's even better. Jill's on the other side of the phone.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about joining Land Academy, this is the kind of people, this person just joined. These are the kinds of people that you're going to rub shoulders with. And if this makes sense to you, you know, this person has a tremendous amount to offer this group. I hope they join Career Path, because I have questions for this person, because raising capital for commercial real estate is not what it used to be. It was very hard in the past. With the internet, raising capital has become a lot easier. It's easier for you as a Land Academy member, potential Land Academy member, because that's what we all are. We're sources of capital for you for your acquisitions.
Totally.
I love having this type of person in our group who comes to us consciously saying, I have a bunch of experience and I get what you guys are doing, and it makes sense to me to send out a ton of offers. Today's second topic is, it only takes between 10 and 15 deals per year to make $1 million in this environment. I'm not here to sell you something. This isn't some sales pitch. This is the truth. And there's like I said earlier in the program, there's a kind of a trend. We have a lot of people who joined Land Academy during January, December and January. And it's always like that every year. And Jill runs promotions and stuff to satisfy that desire. You know, it's the same desire I would like by, you know, you're a lot more prone to think about buying a treadmill in January. It's the same thing, because you want to make healthily make changes in your life. So
there's trends, end of the year coming into the new year. Also too, at the end, when people are going back to school, we all think about, what should I be doing more too when the kids are going back to school? So I totally agree with all of that.
So my point is, there's a trend in Discord. These newer people that have signed up, who are new and sending mailers out, they're getting the responses and the results from their mailers right now. And they're talking about it in Discord. Yeah. And there's this somewhat of a trend like, geez, I got all these deals back and my phone's ringing off the hook. It's just not working. And I don't mean not working. It's just like, yeah, it's that the deals are not. So there's some kind of disconnection at the end of this where we're not communicating this correctly. Or maybe to certain people, Jill and I are not telling you what to expect when all this, these diamonds that are encrusted in carbon are falling out of the sky into your lap when you open all these but you got to crack that carbon off. There's a diamond in there.
I was going to cover that more in a few minutes in my little part, so I'm happy to share that.
So let's do some really easy math then.
Thank you for jumping ahead. I appreciate that. So
what you're looking for is one fantastic deal per mailer. One deal where you look at it and say, and the signed offer figuratively drops out of your hand on the desk, and you say, well, I have to do this deal. I don't care where I get the money. I got to do it. This thing's going to make $120,000, maybe $80,000, maybe $60,000. If you multiply every deal that you do by 12, that's how much money you're going to make that year. If it's $60,000, one deal from one mailer a month. If it's $60,000, you're going to make 60,000 times 12, which is 720 grand.
If I may. Here's the whole point. And this is stuff that I talk about all the time when I'm talking to people that they're like, okay, what's going on? What do you mean I don't have to work that hard? What do you mean I could just do one deal a month and make $1 million? And when you really sit back and look at it, you go, oh, I guess it does make sense. We talked about earlier passive income and all these little deals. And I mentioned, you can do some much bigger deals, and you should. And, this is normal and natural progression. It's scary starting off and adding zeros, but if you can jump right in and go for these bigger deals, your life is so much easier, and there's so less work to do, and you have so much more time. And then you can decide if you like to keep it like that, or if you want to do even more deals. When you learn to make $1 million a year, and I'm going to tell how in a second, you go, well, shoot, I can times 5 that in a heartbeat. I can do it, or even times 4. If I do one deal a month, and I make sure that I'm going to make at least $80,000 to $100,000 a month. Got it. Noted. That's great. That's easy. Versus I'm gonna do one deal a week like that once I figure it out. Then you can see how it all adds up. The best way is, if you're a new Land Academy member and you haven't got into the dashboard, scroll down to the tools, which is all new and reconfigured for you, and found the equity planner. This is what I'm talking about. Sit down and look at that equity planner, which is a spreadsheet that Jack lovingly made for us a while back, and we share with everybody. And this is what we do all the time. Open up that equity planner and put in how much money you want to make this year. Let's just say it's $1 million. Awesome. And then you fill in another box that says, well, how many deals do you want to do? 1 a month. Great. Now that's figured out. So now you figure out, all right, well, that means I got to make $100,000 a month on that one deal. All right, great.
Realistic or not, we don't know.
And you start backing into it like,
maybe 60.
How much do I need to buy for? How much do I need to sell for? Obviously, right? To make that money work. And then you can really back into, well, how many mailers is that going to take? And how hard am I going to have to work? And how many deals am I going to be looking at every month that comes back? It's all kind of right there for you. But when you have to sit back, look at that, and digest it all. And you can see that it's really possible. It's not nuts. I know a lot of people are like, I'm just happy making $100,000 this year. Well, shucks. When you think about that, well, great. Especially those numbers. If you just want to make an extra $100,000 this year, totally serious, right? Say I'm going to do one deal a month and make $10,000. In this group, that's like child's play.
Or just one deal in June and make $100,000.
Honestly, we have taught our kids to do that. Mm-hmm. Now, do they get excited about it, motivated about it? Not yet, but they know how to do it. And that makes me feel good. And that's another show. We are teaching. It's kind of neat. That's another little byproduct of this. That there's a lot of people in Land Academy that are here to not only do this for themselves and make this income to fill in the blank, fill that hole, but also teach their kids so they know that their kids always know how to make money and keep food on the table, and they never have to worry, which is awesome. But that's it. You just have to sit and work it backwards. And it sounds like, what? You guys can it be that easy? When you do the math and then you look at what work's involved in it, and then you just kind of dive in and you come up for air, you realize you're doing it. That's it. You're going to sit back and know that, all right, I got to send out 10,000 units of mail a month. All right. And I'm going to get 2 deals minimum, 2 to 4 deals, let's just say, because I'm new. When you're better and more experienced, you'll get more deals out of that. And yeah. And as you get rolling, you'll get more deals out of that, because those 10,000 units you send out every month, it's going to keep yielding properties for you, potentially for your lifetime. It is for us, especially right now. I got so many people calling me back from mailers that are over 5 years old, some over 10 years old. So this stuff will keep spinning off property once you get going.
So my point is, in writing this topic and really spending some time talking about it, is that everybody, if you look on the internet, everybody's standing in front of a jet on a tarmac somewhere. toasting themselves about how incredibly successful they are. And it just gets lost. It gets lost in this myriad of, I got to send out 100,000 mailers. All these offers came back. I don't know what to do.
Seems overwhelming.
I'm not going to use the word overwhelming. It just gets lost. This topic is meant to help ground this concept. You only need to do one deal a month. You only need to send 5,000 to 10,000 units out a month to pretty much guarantee that you're going to find it. If you do everything we talk about in the programs, if you watch the weekly calls and how we analyze these products, utilize all the resources, most importantly Discord, ask questions along the way, so you send out a real effective mailer that's priced correctly, and you answer the phone. You're at 5,000 to 10,000 a month. If you do
just great,
you're going to make $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Am I guaranteeing that? No, because the mailers got to be right. You have to choose the right area.
Got to answer the phone.
You have to have a Joe-like personality, whether it's you or somebody else, really engaging, even with the people who are angry, engaging the person on the other end of the phone to get the piece of real estate that you're talking about to a price, an acquisition price that's going to make you successful financially. So forget about the jets. Forget about, there's people in our group that make $6, $7, $8 million a year. All you need to do is one deal a month.
Agreed. It's like, you just need to take us. That's why we're here. That's what I was trying to say. That's why we're here to help you too. We're spelling out, this big picture concept. You're like, okay, great, but there's a lot of little pieces in there. Yeah. There are a lot of little pieces in there, but you know what? Lucky for you, we've done them all. We've done them all wrong.
And failed at all.
We've done them all right.
That's right.
We've done it wrong. We fixed them, and we continue to make mistakes and fix them. We continue to test things. We're always going to say, that's the thing about us too. This is our business. I'm very proud to say, I love Land Academy. This is my passion. I love Land Academy ladies and all the other things that we do in Career Path. But hey, I'm a land investor first. Mm-hmm. That's my thing. And lucky for you, I'm a land investor first, because I need to be out there in front of you figuring things out. He needs to be in front of us going, this changed, and this is like the whole zip code thing. So-and-so is now not showing zip codes, so here's how you have to go get it. We're always right there ahead of you, helping you, guiding you, showing you the way.
I know these things change, because when I go to do my mailer, I'm like, well, this I have to change how I'm doing this mailer.
Yep.
Because what I did last time just doesn't work this time. Well, I better tell everybody else.
Can you imagine, it's like having it's funny, I think about Cold Stone Creamery. I don't know why this, because we're in Arizona. So our former mayor, Doug Ducey, what's that?
Governor.
Excuse me, former governor. Thank you, Doug Ducey. I love being corrected like that. Just kidding. I'm sorry.
I love it too. We're going to hear about it after we turn the mics off.
No, you're right. Thank you. No, our former governor, Doug Ducey, was the head of Cold Stone Creamery, right? And it's interesting because he obviously left Cold Stone Creamery when he became governor. He can't effectively run the franchise when he is the governor. I don't know if it's as effective now. Do you even see them growing? I'm sure he did a good job, starting it up. I remember watching it here in Arizona take off and grow and getting more Cold Stone. I didn't even know who the guy was. I remember seeing along the freeway, along the 101, the office buildings, and I knew that he had and he'd take the owners in there and do it. But he had to take he took a different role. So he had to take, he had to transition. So are they as effective? What do you think? I know for us, we are as effective because we're still in this business. I'm not going to leave it to do governor.
I'm not first of all, Jill has this fascination with Cold Stone Creamery, and here's why.
I like ice cream.
It comes up. If you have 7,000 hours on your hands, go back and listen to this. And Cold Stone comes up a disproportionate number of times. And Cold Stone comes up in our lives. And here's too much. Here's why.
I didn't know that. This is the first time I brought it up, and I don't remember when. Now, Dairy Queen.
When Jill's a kid in Laguna Beach, she worked at Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory.
I did.
Is her high school job or a teenage job? So every single place we go, there's a lot of Rocky Mountain chocolate factories.
Oh, yeah.
We got to go in there, and Jill talks to everybody and the people that work there. And
Yep.
I don't even go in anymore. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Oh, I noticed that.
And she comes out with a grocery-sized bag of chocolate and stuff, which we should never be eating. So she's predisposed for this business model, this little shop that's got chocolate and happy people in there, and it's a big treats thing. And then a bunch of years ago, her family came to her and said, we should buy these Cold Stone locations. That we should be a franchisee of Cold Stone Creamery. It never materialized. So she's got that half fascination about what goes on.
True.
As a business model, tiny little shops like that you're so capped in the amount of money that that you can potentially make. If you spreadsheet it out, it'll never work.
It's true.
So you're capped anyway. Then you're capped as a franchisee. You have all this responsibilities about where you buy supplies, where how much money you pay, top line revenue. You have to share revenue percentage. Yeah, they help you with the leases, but your shop has to look a certain way.
Right.
It can't just look, if I was just an independent. So as a business model, the only person who ever probably wanted that is Doug Ducey. And I'm not knocking him because I actually think he did some great stuff for our state. But I just had to bring that up because we talk about Cold Stone too much.
I don't bring it up that often, but that's okay. Apparently twice a year is too often.
Yes. Once a quarter. Talking about Cold Stone, walking into a Cold Stone. What is it? Is it better?
Oh, when is it my turn? Oh my God.
Is it better? Ice cream better?
No, it has nothing to do with that. I don't care. No, it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure. What do I talk about too much?
I'm thinking. Let me think for a few minutes. I'll come up with something.
Money, depreciation, and single malt scotch.
Yeah, we'll come up with some other stuff. I'll save it. That's good.
Let's take a look at one of our favorite land acquisitions from our weekly Thursday member webinar.
This is why we do this. I'm glad you asked. All right, would you do this deal? Love County, Oklahoma. Accepted offer price $68,000. Thinks we can sell it for $100,000. Comps in this area are $80,000 to $119,000. There's one pending for $99,000. 10 acres, access, affordable, large acreage and homes nearby, down the road from Murray Lake, 20 minutes from the town of Marietta, and everyone's alive. Okay. And it's 100 acres.
So here's my thought process. This looks good. The access right here. There's a little bit of drain off / deserty stuff that's not showing up on FEMA. So that's good.
Like a pair.
Oh, it's partial ownership.
Oh,
It's undivided. Well, maybe it's one APN.
Pearl, Alma has an 8th. Ruth has an 8th. We got Alma, we got Ruth, we got Verda, we got Raymond, we have Martha. Oh no, and now we have 124th.
And the trustee.
So I would call an attorney.
Let's just see if it's worth anything first.
Okay.
One of the 6s is alive. What we really mean is this. So
Isn't it nice?
that's a good catch.
They use the legal description. This is why I look at legals. They use the legal description to tip you off that there's something you need to know here. So, what's making me wonder, because the APNs are because she put in a different APN. What if that 10-acre piece is a little cut off of the big piece and we got more to undo?
So it's a great example of you got a deal in.
Oklahoma.
You did what you're supposed to do. And after 30 to 45 seconds of review, we all have way more questions than answers.
Mm-hmm. We gonna look at some.
Why the owner's not in there too, because it's not.
I can't put it all in.
Should just say at all. Actually, Jill might be an owner of that part of the owner too. There's so many owners. So, let's just say $100,000 is what let's just look at it as a real deal.
Mm-hmm. Assuming it's perfect ownership wise.
10 acres for 90, it starts there. 113 days. 10 acres for 120, 6 acres for 120. This is all good news.
I'm writing down a number.
6 results in the sold category. Here's 10 acres for 8,000. That's strange. 7 acres for 100. We got 6 sold results in the last 6 months and 7 active. So
I have my price written down, what I would pay, assuming everyone's alive. There's just one document and we just need to have everybody, because they're going to get together at Thanksgiving, have the attorney over so they can all sign for it.
I'm going to blurt a number out when you turn it around.
Okay.
22,000.
100 grand.
25.
I put 25, he's 22. What would you guys do?
I think I'd almost work backwards from what I think we could sell it for. And I'd like to be competitively one of the lowest priced ones in a small market like that. So, are you comfortable with, listing it at 85,000, 70,000 and working backwards from there? And I think I'd land somewhere near where you're at, Jill, with the 25. You don't want to get too far into that without, with having a huge expense, with not knowing how long you're going to sit on that property.
Mm-hmm.
So the next conversation, Aaron, is what are our days on market? I only got 100 days on market here too.
For the cheap one.
Uh-huh. So this is not done yet. So here's my thing. Aaron, when you explain to them there's 42 people listed on this, can all 42 sign? And they go, oh, and then you go, okay, hold on a moment. Here's what has to happen then. And then you could start, if it's even possible, and then you have to help them get an attorney involved to get this done. There's how you can easily knock that price down. I'm glad we looked at that. These are all good to look at and to see and understand and know. So yeah.
Jill, you have something inspirational to share.
I want to talk for a few minutes about how people sometimes are missing deals. This came up the other day. We leave it on the screen while I'm talking.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. So this came up the other day, about a week and a half ago. You and I did a live thing we did a live webinar. It was really cool. And I'm sure you can still get the replays out there. And someone brought up, almost like calling it a failed mailer. They didn't use that term, but it's like, I sent all these offers, I didn't get any juice back. And I'm like, well, let's talk about that for a second. There are usually common things when you send out a mailer and you feel like you're not getting any juice. Maybe let me paint the picture. The mailer goes out, phone calls come back. You may or may not be answering the phone. I'm just going to say maybe you have a day job, so it all goes to your Google Voice. You listen to your Google Voice later on, and everybody's just saying, go jump on a lake. And now 2 weeks have passed, and you feel like, I bombed. I did nothing. Well, often there's some things that you could do differently right out of the gate to make this a successful mailer. So this is really, I want to talk about how you can turn every single mailer response, or there's an opportunity in every single mailer response that you get, and a lot of people miss this. So can you that blue is distracting for me. Thank you very much. First of all, thing I want you to do is when your mailer goes out, I want you to be ready. I want you to, you kind of already know the area, because if you did your own picking the county, if you don't have a partner like I do, right, you're doing it yourself, you put a lot of recon into picking the county. You did a lot of recon into properties in that area. You did a lot of recon into, what's going on, price per square foot, what the terrain is, what you're looking at. You have some ideas here. And too, what you should be asking these sellers when the calls come in. So that's number one, being ready. Number two, here come the calls. That's going to be the first thing that happens. The mail hits, it, when you get these phone calls coming in. And if you're afraid of those or you can't answer the phones, you're shoving them off to your Google voicemail, you're going to miss stuff right out of the gate. I want you or a live body, whether it's even Pat Live, answering the phone. That's going to already set you up to get a better response. They know how to do it. When you set it up through us, they know who you are. They know your Land Academy. That team is ready for those phone calls. They are coached and counseled by Pat Live before we coached and counseled. And when I say we, I mean me. It got to that. And then now they do their own coaching and counseling too, to be ready for these calls. They're ready for them. They want to take in as much information. I want you to take in as much information as you can. You need to answer the call, and you need to, like I said, think of everything as an opportunity. Think of every mad person as they're reaching out to me for some reason. And usually they're reaching out because they do want to sell, and maybe they don't like your price. Or maybe they even do. They just need to get it off their chest. They're not happy about it. They need to know you're a real person. They need to understand this process. They need to understand that it's real. and they can sell to you, and there's an opportunity there. So there's usually two things, like I was saying going into this, and we talked about that the other night in the webinar. Two things that will make you think it was a not successful mailer. Number one is you didn't answer the phone. There's not a live person there. And, number two, you're not following through and asking the right questions. So when the call comes to me, I automatically assume that I'm going to get a deal here. This is what you need to walk away with right now. You need to automatically know that every time someone's calling your phone, there's a deal right there. And all I got to do is figure out, is it my price or their price? That's it. And as quickly as possible, get to that point. Get to be on the same page with them and turn those people into an acquisition opportunity. Who cares if it's not your price? What is the price? You just need to know that there's something there and say, look, the bottom line is, now there's a few rarely that they're like, I really don't want to sell ever. And you'll get that, but that's less than 1%. I'm going to argue, or maybe 1%. Let's just say that, like, I'm really only calling you because my husband's buried here, my grandparents are buried here, my great-grandparents are buried here, I will be buried here. All right. When you think like that, there's a 1% that's really it. But the other people, there's a number. And maybe it's a make me move number, right? But there's a number there, and you just got to get that out of them. And then you decide if that works for you. So there's always an opportunity.
Let me describe, I think this might be very helpful to bring clarity to this topic, because Jill's exactly right. But let me describe the process that I had before Jill and I joined forces. I had a very successful real estate operation. It was so different than it is now, and much less successful than it is now, largely because of Jill. But I was starting out back then and still refining stuff. But here was my process. I had a person who I hired. Her name was Debbie, and she was a very successful escrow agent, and she was very, very good on the phone. And so I did what I do now. I sent all these mailers out. We had a CRM, very similar, effectively the same thing as Airtable. Sent all these mailers out, just like I do now, same format, same verbiage, and same way we priced it. It took a lot longer. It was a lot harder and more clumsy, and took me a lot more time to do it. And it was way more expensive because we didn't have offers to owners. But I got these mailers out in the mail, and they would call back. And Debbie was not in the same office that I was in, and I couldn't see her, and she couldn't see me, but I could hear her, and she could hear me. That's just how our offices were set up. And these calls would come in, and I could hear if it was going to be a disaster or if it was going to be a happy person that just really wanted to do the deal. And she handled every single deal the same way. I'm sorry you feel that way. Would you like me, because my names were on the mailer at the time, would you like me have Stephen relook at the deal and see if it's if there's a more appropriate price based on what you're telling me? Maybe we price the mailer. She was full of one-liners. Mm-hmm. And so she would put, and this is the rules back then, and I would encourage you to follow some version of this, put every deal in that CRM. She was not, unless they signed the offer or said, I really want to do the deal at that price, she was not authorized to negotiate anything on that one first phone call. So everything went in the CRM, and it went into acquisition opportunity, because every deal is an acquisition opportunity. Every single one is an acquisition opportunity. And just telling the story, my heart starts to beat, and I start to have endorphin rushes and this positive thing, because when people start to call in a mailer and they're complaining about it, all I feel is glee.
Me too.
It's like, wait a minute.
This is an opportunity to have a conversation.
I know now. They got the mail.
Yeah.
They may or may not be happy with the price. It's only a matter of time before I find that diamond encrusted in carbon, and we smash one out of the park. And we're probably going to hit a lot of singles along the way. And so she would jam these properties all day long. These properties would start to populate in the CRM. And so every morning I would come in, we would all horse around, and at about 10 o'clock I would dig into that. And this went on for years. Dig into that CRM. and I would make write-in comments just like we do now. And if it was a go-ahead deal, I would move that deal from acquisition opportunity to acquisition approved, or I would move it to acquisition pending if I looked it up and found out it didn't have access, or I needed to adjust the price, or Debbie, please go back and do whatever this is. But little by little by little, we chipped away at a mailer and found the deals that were stand-up triples, slide-in doubles, singles, and once in a great while, you hit one out of the park. That is turning every mailer response into an acquisition opportunity, not a deal.
Right.
Not everyone's going to be a deal.
Correct.
But they all deserve to be looked at. And if they don't have access or there's some huge flaw, they're still worth something. Go back and offer them $1,000 and say, you know, the people are responding to this because they probably need money or who knows why, but they want to do a deal in their soul.
Right.
Jill's been saying this for 10 years.
That's what I think. They reach out to you for a reason. I think everyone that reaches out and calls you really doesn't want to sell. You just got to get on the same page about the price. And sometimes getting on the same page is letting them know who you are and like, look, I'm not an agent. This is not retail. We're not here to one up your neighbor. That's not what this is. This is my business. I'm going to give you a good price. You know, if you really want to unload this, and let's talk about it.
If you're a one-person show, and most of you are if you're new, you're doing Debbie's job and my job.
Right.
And Jill's job or my job. And so since then, Jill has her own process, and it's way, way wildly more successful than it was back then. And she doesn't, she's able now to cut. There's a lot of back and forth. Debbie was on the phone for 8 straight hours, and Jill's not, and her staff's not, because they're able to cut through a lot of this stuff much more efficiently.
True.
If you're a one-person operation, you're gonna have to do both of these things. You're gonna have to be on the phone a ton, whether it's returning calls or answering calls or whatever, taking a temperature of what's happening and seeing if there's a deal there or not, or just report what it's easier. Largely, I would say if you're a one-person operation, it's easier because you know right away.
Totally.
You don't have to put it in the CRM and wait for somebody to make a decision and call back and all of that. And that's why Jill's so refined at this, because she's just got it licked. She can tell right away whether we're going to do the deal or not.
Thank you.
There's deals in all of this.
Totally. All right, your turn, Jack. What have you got to share for us today? Something
I
informational.
want to talk about cash flow.
Oh, cool.
This goes back to my accounting days, but it goes back into my soul too. The topic is the real problem with managing your business and life by cash flow. There's a concept out there. It's not new, but it's been regurgitated by people and economists talking about it. And they use a tube of toothpaste as an example. When you buy a new tube of toothpaste and you crack it open, how you use that toothpaste on your toothbrush is very, very different than how you use toothpaste at the very end of the tube. You know, you might, in the beginnings, just slather it on there and enjoy yourself.
I've never heard this.
It's an economic concept.
I didn't know this.
And it flowed over to accounting, too, because it's very rare that accountants and economics agree on anything.
Okay.
When you're at the end and you're jamming a thing on the sink and you're trying to just get that, I can get one more day on this. Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah. And in college, you'd look inside the grout for toothpaste and rub your tooth.
Ew.
Anyway, that's what I did.
Yikes.
Maybe that's why.
TMI. Oh, I want to kiss that.
Jill, you've always had low standards in men. So
Yeah.
I can't help you with that.
Oh, no. I wish I did. Now I can't unsee that. This is awful. Oh, yuck. Not hugging my teenager or my college kid right now.
Why is it so fun to discuss certain people in your family? Not sure.
Great.
You can't manage your life like that tube of toothpaste. You can't do a mailer, in my opinion. And if your bank account's full, it's that full tube of toothpaste, and you got $100,000 in there, or you're at the end and you've got $5,000. You can't look at the same deal based on that. You can't. I know so many people. Over the years, I've heard a million people say this. Well, it's the end of the month and I don't have any money left, so no, I can't go to the show with you. Well, I just got paid. Sure, let's go out.
Can you imagine the bartender? That's awesome.
How many times has your friend said that?
Oh, it's
all
true.
throughout your life?
Oh, no, that's true. It's like bonus check Tuesday. Ooh, like, yeah, totally.
If everybody's on the same payment cycle, like working for the same company,
Yeah.
which I think Jill's experienced,
This
so
is hilarious.
you're all broke at the same time
I
of the
forgot
month.
all about this, but yeah, it's totally
You're
true.
all splitting the same $5 bottle of vodka and eating ramen noodles until you get that paycheck.
Yeah.
I can't wait till I get my paycheck.
Then I can go out. Yep.
That's a terrible, terrible cycle to be in. And you can break the cycle mentally by forcing yourself, especially now with automatic payments and all of that,
Yeah.
forcing yourself to stop living by cash flow, because you'll never get out of that cycle. Never.
Yeah.
What you will do to smooth it out is to find credit, sources of credit. And so now you've got credit card debt, and it's on a personal basis, that's not good. You have to save money. You have two choices to break this cycle, both in your business and personally. Save money, which sucks. Nobody wants to talk about it, and I, who wants to save money? Or make more money. Make more money and allocate it as you're making more. You might allocate it toward mail. You might allocate it toward creating a retirement fund or a college fund. Go ahead.
What about spending less?
Well, spending less is, that's up to you. That's a personal choice. Spending less, if you're spending too much money on stuff that you don't need, then you need a psychiatrist, not this. You don't need this podcast. I'm really serious about that, because nobody needs a new hairbrush, really.
No, I'm just like, some people because today I can afford that 2-bedroom, whatever, awesome apartment on the top floor, whatever. When you're like, do you really need the 2-bedroom apartment on the top floor by yourself?
Jill's really right.
I'm just asking.
There's obviously two components, revenue and expense. And so talking about managing your own personal expenses is not something I ever want to talk about. I think if you can't do that, again, I think there's some, and we have separately, when we were younger, Jill and I have talked about this many times over the years, experienced that. We've experienced, I need new shoes because everybody else has new shoes. I think it's a normal part of becoming an adult. You should grow out of that. If you're having trouble with that, I would suggest you go figure that out. Not here, though. I'm talking about managing cash flow.
Sorry.
And the mentality with that. So, especially in your business. So we just covered personally how the toothpaste thing. In your business, especially in this business, you're going to hit it. And you're going to hit it pretty soon. And so when you get $80,000 back, or if you go do deal funding or whatever you choose, and you get $40,000 or $30,000 check or $40,000 check, do not spend that money. Allocate it. You need to allocate that money for a new mailer, for, if you have bills to pay, I get it, that's fine. And then continue to use deal funding until you don't need it anymore, and manage your money not by cash flow. It's a downward cycle that will never end. And the reason I wrote this topic is because I just wrote a very interesting article. I'm going to talk about it later today on the Thursday call, about the differences between, and I'm quoting this article, it was fascinating. It was one of these articles.
You read or you wrote?
I read it.
Oh, okay.
Fascinating. Did I say wrote?
I thought so. I'm like, where can I read this?
It was one of these articles where I started to read it, like most articles. I'm like, this is so stupid. Who's doing? And then it ended up being great. The mentality or the thought process of people who are very, very poor, people who are what the world would call middle class. I don't believe in these titles, by the way, but I'm just regurgitating this article. And then people who have wealth, and I do agree with that title. And the people who are poor and the people who have wealth think very similarly. It's the people in the middle that are spending too much, like Jill is saying, and are living their lives by cash flow. Yeah. That are just, they're doing the right thing revenue-wise, or most of them are. They just can't get out of it.
Yeah, that's sad. I get it.
So please, if this sings to you, we have such limited time on the show all the time. If this sings to you, please look it up, because you can change your life within 30 days pretty quickly if you start to just understand what the decisions that you're making and why. Somebody within this article, the person who wrote it did an extensive poll, or they had access to an extensive poll, where they asked people to define the difference between assets and liabilities, and 85% couldn't do it.
Understood. Noted.
Join us next Wednesday for another interesting episode. You're not alone in your real estate ambition. We are Jack and Jill. Information
And inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.